Bezos family
Yeah.
and all that they own, which is now appears to be multiple corporations, but it's really owned by this one trust with the 12 or 13
Now, and then you're talking about
bloodline families.
Now, keep in mind when you're looking at that, you're looking at the hybrid Europeans that took over Iberia.
Iberia
is now known as Europe.
Okay.
So now you're talking about Germany, France, etc. And this is again why when they're teaching history, they will teach Europe as only the hybrids. They won't teach Europe as the Picts, the Moors, and the Dubs, which are the true Europeans, which are Africans. That's why they won't say Iberia.
It's funny when you see a lot of so-called Africans in Europe, they act as if they came there instead of the.
It's the disassociation practices that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just like we said before, just like when we were talking, I think the last time we showed some of the coats of arms of Europe with Joel A. Rogers, one of the world's most awarded scholars.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any pale faces?
No.
Not a one. See, so people keep forgetting in the early 1800s that this is when we lost Europe or Iberia. The same way, like when you see a lot of people talking jurisdictions or like they're talking about the economic trade competition between Russia and the United States and China now, as an example, in Brazil, or what they call the BRICS nations, competing with the U.S. They keep looking at it from the perspective that they're competing with a country.
Mm.
They're not looking at that they're competing with a corporate entity, operators of Rome, who have been going to and fro the earth, devouring nations, and then pretending to be a nation themselves. So you got to look at that paradox that creates a lot of convoluted thought, doesn't it? But not knowing that is dangerous to people when they come to jurisdiction. This is why people, and again, a lot of questions that will come to pass, or come about to even some of these conversations is if people don't get over that mountain of miscomprehension of understanding that the United States is not a country, never was a country. If they don't wrap their heads around that, they still don't get it. If they don't wrap their heads around that, when the hybrid Europeans keep saying America as if it's a country, that they're being robbed as soon as they make those kind of statements. It's a total misrepresentation. And so a lot of the information is to get us clear. In other words, if you can't comprehend what's broken, you can't fix it. You'll never fix it. This is another reason why projection is practiced by them, by projecting deeds that they do to others on others to distract you from them, and also to claim names and that are not their own, and then put names on the things that are not their own in order to claim things that are not their own and to distort history. So when you hear hybrid Europeans talking about America as a country, you already know that that person is trying to steal the birthright and the estate, or trying to maintain status quo, even if they're making statements that appear to sound restorative of the republic order, if you get the whole point. When you see them talking about America as a country, fraud. If you see them keep continuing calling the United States as if it's a country, fraud. Because what they're really they're just trying to avoid, which you can comprehend politically, of them admitting that North America, Central America, South America is Morocco. That's the country. Morocco is the land. That's the country. Now, the political jurisdiction of trade that took over after breach of treaty is the U.S. corporation, India company, and the Virginia company, pretending to be the country and styled as the United States on corporate papers that's available to anybody that does research. So all they needed was a few generations under the Board of Education to convince these people that the U.S. was a country. And that's the paradigm that we're dealing with today. So when people are trying to fix things, they keep on speaking of the corporation of conquest as the country. At that point, in the linguistic structure, they're giving up their birthright. You see, so we have to fix that, don't we?
Yes.
This is why we have to redundantly, and to the point of being boring, redundantly remind people, with the change of knowledge comes a change of your language. And this is, again, when people who claim to be scholars keep calling the U.S. the country, you already know they're either compromised agents and indeed not the scholars that they claim. You want to read some more of these black codes?
Yes.
So I'm going to read 53 and 54. We commend all manumitted slaves to show the profoundest respect to their former masters. This is all that honor that you saw our people doing to the corporate state and keep trying to be civil rights citizens and all this kind of stuff. 14th Amendment, this is where that's where that mentality comes from. To their widows and their children, and any injury or insult offered by said manumitted slaves to their former masters, their widows, or children shall be punished with more severity than if it had been offered to any other person. Now you see that their variable attitude that our people be calling prejudice, double standard. It's not a double standard. The standard between the corporate state or master and the citizens or the slave. So when you're looking at U.S. citizen, you're looking at slave. And we ain't U.S. citizens. We're nationals of the land. Just keep that in mind. And they shall be punished with more severity than if it had been offered to any other person. We, however, declared them exempt from the discharge of any duties or services and from payment of all taxes or fees or anything else in relationship to their person or to their personal or real estate, either during the life or after the death of said slave. Article 54, we grant manumitted slaves the same rights, privileges, and immunities which are enjoyed by free-born persons. It is our pleasure that their merit in having acquired their freedom shall produce in their favor, not only with regards to their persons, but also to their property, the same effects which our other subjects derive from the happy circumstance of their having been born free. In the name of the King, Fazende Bruxelles, Paris, Bienville de la Grâce, March 1724. There you go. So when you study the Christian Black Codes and you study the details, and keep in mind, you just change the word master to municipality, county, state. And you change the slave into citizen, U.S. citizen, 14th Amendment person, Negroes and blacks, etc. And then you claim the masters who have manumitted their estates to the corporate states under manumission or transferred their ownership of slaves to the Congress. You refer to them as ghouls or dragons of the Ku Klux Klan, also known as, quote unquote, white people. There you go. It's not hidden and is known by all scholars. However, truth is not popular because it kind of busts people's bubble. You know, people have their imaginary, oh, I'm a U.S. citizen with a U.S. sandwich passport and stuff. That's your opinion. That's not the reality. So we need to fix that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And can it be fixed by a being who doesn't know that slavery, as they know accountability, was institutionalized? It was not eliminated. And that there are more slaves that are functioning at Midgard than ever in human history. That more people are enslaved today than there ever were in human history. and that all your permits and licenses, etc., are issues of bodily instruments from the church and the chancery members in service to the popes of Rome, and are actually tithing fees that convert people's rights and liberties into crimes, which is why they traffic people on the street and they stop people and take their vessels. People need to know what's really going on.
Okay, here's Angel says, salute with all due respect. Is not the Grand Sheik being subjected to the same statutes and codes,
Absolutely,
codes as the whole of U.S. Aborigines by the foreign de facto corporate body politic?
Absolutely. And I've been fighting for 40 years. Some wins, some losses, but I ain't a punk and I ain't giving up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me see. Section. Someone says to read White's concise trustee handbook and learn how to live under your own written law of trust. Actually, that's on the flash drive. Yeah, we got it on the drive now. Actually, let me see. What's it? Yakub Bey says, how can we establish a militia in every territory to start? Where did we go? I think he said to enforce. Kind of slipped away that quick.
I can't hear you.
I'm trying to find where he went. Let me see. Oh, how can we establish a militia in every territory to start, I guess, to enforce the treaty and consular jurisdiction?
The interesting thing that I say in response to that today and now is the Inquisition operations that are operative today are more what you may call ethereal or spiritual than they are in that plane of thinking. Not that is not a necessity.
Type stuff.
It is that the energy, the heavenly energy, that may be involved, but that is more minor now. It is more that you armor yourself in the spiritual realm and in the ethereal knowledge right now, because those things will be rendered somewhat obsolete anyway. That is not a pacification answer, that is a factual answer. And it is more like the beast has mastered the area of imposed human suffering. They have mastered that. You will not acquire from the beast a weapon against himself. However, you have a weapon that is far beyond their capacity to beat. That weapon is called truth. Also, you have another weapon that you have not been using that is more powerful than all of them, and that is your intuitive mind that you have been by design encouraged to suppress and have lacked a knowledge of how powerful it actually is. Look in those areas and find your armor. That's my answer.
Oh.
Don't think that you're without weapons that are needed, because that's not the case. However, the battle is on a level that in some ways you might call can't be expressed in words altogether. But you will be aware of them as you start using your intuitive mind. And that is not a placated answer. That's a factual answer.
This back up about the study drive. So I want people to know we have a lot of information on the study drive. So let me see.
Now, many who know and have long been aware of the suppressed culture and the science and the history of Al-Marak, the Americas, do and have traditionally taken advantage of and have abused those who do not know the oath-kept secrets of and about the Moabite Moorish history of the Western Hemisphere. And if the people who are currently carrying the labels and brands, Negro, black, colored, Indian, West Indian, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Latin, Latino, etc., ever intend to be liberated or to be free from the alien Albion abusive rulership in their own lands, they must learn to face truth and whatever and forever shun ignorance. And they must cease to the revered and the highly protected ritual and practice of substituting beliefs for knowledge. And the religiously promised and protected ignorance among the masses has no foundation in divine truth. And the foregoing fact is a matter and a major factor as to why the quote-unquote Christian black codes have been entrenched into the social order, operating so smoothly, going unchallenged and undetected. In this last century and a half of the Al-Moroccan history of 1865 AD, 1993 AD, that's the time of this writing, 1993, as being a raging financial success for the bureaucratic institution of wardship and slavery in the Union of States. And this has occurred with the naivete, blind faith, and misinformed support of wards and slaves who have been deceived, arrogantly and ignorantly giving eager support and assistance to the Union of States and to the state's de facto institutions. And the time has come for all Asiatics of North America, Al-Marak, to seek and to secure their sources of knowledge and of education and erudition from a study of self and a link with other civilized nations outside of the colorable Union of States institutions, overseers, and their agents. The negative and vile conditions and experiences forced upon the Moors under the Union of States jurisdictions have proven that the persons and the peoples and the corporate entities of the Union of States and its peoples as being unethical, de facto, highly uncivilized, and the state citizens and representative bodies' politics are thoroughly corrupt and unworthy of governing or having any sovereign power or authority over anything or anyone outside of their own nations of origins and their de facto and projected affairs. Know you the truth, and the truth will set you free. Freedom and liberty is everybody's job. That I close my statements on the Christian black codes.
Let's see. Are there any more questions or comments? There's a Tarik says, are you familiar with the sister out of Georgia, Chief Johnny's dealing with the land patents? I guess
land patents were created.
Are you familiar with this? They're asking.
I've heard, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But land patents were created actually with the U.S. corporations with them stealing our land. The land patents are by technicality and reality not for the Aboriginal people. We have Aboriginal title that supersede any land patents or anything else that they've created for the transfer of our estates. However, I do comprehend many people have been using all kinds of methods, and I don't reject them or try to make a reclaim of our lost estate. However, keep in mind that the jurisdiction of the United States Corporation does not supersede your aboriginal claim of title.
Here's this must be someone new to the channel. Amon Ra Dimud. Is this no? I don't know whether they said me no as well as should be knowledge. Only for Muslim. I see a lot of Islams. So what they're saying.
Well, of course.
No,
but
it's obviously somebody that doesn't know that Islam means I self-law and master.
This is universal.
And they must be new to the saying.
These principles are universal for humanity. However, much of this information is targeted directly to the ancient Canaanite descendants and Moabite descendants at North America, because this is the landmark or the land area or the jurisdictional geographical territory from which the codes for the papacy of Rome is perpetrated upon the rest of the world through the U.S. Corporation, India Company, Virginia Company armies that belong to the Popes of Rome. To that degree, it is focused on the Moors of North America. However, the principles are for the whole world.
My assumption is this is someone who doesn't know about their Moorish nationality and birthright.
Well, they got to know a little bit of the history.
Right.
And this is again why, we'll go over some, just like, for instance, the black codes, right? If somebody's looking at black codes and they're looking at municipal codes, rules, regulations, zoning, policing policies, and then they read the black codes, they can see it. The linguistics is 1700s, if you get the point. However, it's very clear. So a lot of times people think the things that are happening today have what you call contemporary origin in the nature of someone having an attitude, when actually these people belong to secret societies, and they're actually going, this is one of their manuals of operation. So when the chessboard, you don't come to a chess game with playing checkers, because you lose. But if you have a cognizance of what is being used against you, you have a knowledge of how to counter them.
Please let them know what Islam stands for when you're seeing it in the chat.
I, self-law, and master.
That's what Islam.
It's another degree.
Stands for.
It's not just a creed from the concept that most people have. And you'll learn that in time coming on the official House of Reawakening Minds.